Hi everyone, it's Vanessa. I wanted to do a quick reaction video to the Women's Prize long list for nonfiction for this year. I was completely absent from like booktube and everything last year. Moving, selling a house, buying a house, starting a new job, just in general. It wasn't the time for me to be online and making booktube videos. I'm really glad to be back. I had no idea that in the past year the Women's Prize started a nonfiction list as well. I wanted to look at the nonfiction list and I wanted to see if any of the books looked interesting to me that I might want to pick up. I think the thing that settled this for me is finding out that Naomi Klein's Doppelganger won last year. That was like one of my favorite nonfiction books that I read last year, so it makes me excited to look into this prize to see if there might be other gems in there for me. I haven't looked at the list yet. I'm gonna go through it now. Every time that I saw something about it, I kind of like scrolled really fast past it. Number 1 on the list is Autocracy, Inc. The Dictators Who Want to Run the World by Anne Applebaum. I have heard of this author before. A masterful guide to the new age of authoritarianism, clear-sighted and fearless. Don't we need that right now in this moment? We think we know what an autocratic state looks like. There's an all-powerful leader at the top. He controls the police. The police threaten the people with violence. There are evil collaborators and maybe some brave dissidents. But in the 21st century, that bears little resemblance to reality. Nowadays, autocracies are underpinned not by one dictator, but by sophisticated networks composed of kleptocratic financial structures, surveillance technologies, and professional propagandists. Okay, definitely that is one that I would totally pick up. Anne Applebaum is a historian and journalist. She is a staff writer for The Atlantic. That's probably how I know her name. She's a senior fellow at Johns Hopkins University. Embers of the Hands, Hidden Histories of the Viking Age. Already I'm kind of out because antiquity and like older histories don't interest me as much. History of the Viking Age from mighty leaders to rebellious teenagers, told through their runes and ruins, games and combs, trash and treasure. I still think that's a no for me, but it does sound interesting in general. The next book is The Eagle and the Heart, The Tragedy of Richard II and Henry IV by Helen Castor. Another one that, upon just like reading the title of it and looking at the cover, it's not one that I'm like automatically drawn to. I remember in general learning about European history and not being like super enthused in like high school and college. I do appreciate that pretty much every book so far is like history based, and that's something that I'm really passionate about, so I do like that about this prize so far. From an acclaimed historian comes an epic tale of power and betrayal, the dual biography of Richard II and Henry IV, two cousins whose tumultuous reigns shaped the course of English history. I think I'm okay. Let's look at the next one. Oh, I love the cover. It's already very different. A Thousand Threads. Oh, it's because it's a memoir. This is by Nene Cherry. This vibrant memoir from Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter. I actually have never heard of her, and this is weird because I am pretty in tune with music, I would say, but I mean there are definitely like niche music that I don't. Oh, she does jazz, that's probably why. She was born in Sweden in 1964. It says it's inspiring and deeply compelling, and it celebrates female empowerment and shines a light on the global music scene. Another great cover. Actually, I have heard of this book. I've heard of this book. It's called The Story of a Heart, Two Families, One Heart, and the Medical Miracle That Saved a Child's Life by Dr. Rachel Clark. An unforgettable and inspiring true story of how one family's grief transformed into a life-saving gift. One summer day, 9-year-old Kira Ball was in a terrible car accident and suffered catastrophic brain injuries. As the rest of her body began to shut down, her heart continued to beat. Her parents and siblings agreed that she would have wanted her to be an organ donor. Then there's another 9-year-old, Max Johnson, who had been in the hospital for nearly a year, fighting a virus that was causing his young heart to fail. Oh, it seems really sweet. So of course, they used Kira's heart to help Max, and it says he had become the hopeful face of a campaign to change the UK's laws around organ donation, and then the two mothers became really close and exchanged letters with each other. This seems like a book that is really compassionate and says it's about the many ways we honor our loved ones and the tenacity of love. Oh, I feel like I want to cry just reading what it's about, so that one's definitely one that I would definitely check out. It sounds really good. The next one, I've also seen this cover before, and I've heard kind of a slight buzz about this book, and it's Raising Hair, a memoir by Chloe Dalton. Kind of in vein of like H is for Hawk. taking care of an animal, and it says it's a moving and fascinating meditation on freedom, trust, loss, and our relationship with the natural world, explored through the story of one woman's unlikely friendship with a wild hare. Through trial and error, she learns to feed and care for the leveret with every intention of returning it to the wilderness. Instead, it becomes her constant companion, wandering the fields and woods at night and returning to her house by day. The thing is that one thing I know about myself is I do like a nature book once in a while, but I'm not often drawn to them right away. Let's try the next one. Oh, this is a very interesting, different kind of cover. Jenny Fagan Outland. It literally has, oh, it's the French edition, maybe that's why. It has like one review. It's a literary memoir about a life raised by the state. Fagan was born in an institution and spent her early life and years in care. Fostered, adopted, and moved multiple times, she developed a childhood fascination with stories and why people tell them. It's about dislocation, ceaselessly moving through all kinds of placements in a broken UK system. See, this is what I mean. I like reading more this kind of story of what people go through, and especially like how their lives are changed by things that are like systems in our world. This one sounds really good to me, of all the memoirs that we've seen so far. Oh, look at this next book. Is it being published in the UK and it wasn't before? It's Why Fish Don't Exist by Lulu Miller. I loved this book when I read it a few years back. I feel like it was at the start of COVID. I like vividly remember listening to this on audiobook while I was repainting parts of my kitchen cabinets. Okay, so it was published in the UK in October of 2024. Really loved it. I could definitely see it winning the prize. I thought it was really, really good. The next book is called Agent Zoe, The Untold Story of Fearless World War II Resistant Fighter Elzbieta Sawaka by Claire Mully. I'm not as interested in World War II history reading it. I often watch more documentaries on World War II or TV shows on it. This is an incredible story of Elzbieta Sawaka, the World War II female resistance fighter known as Agent Zoe. She was the only woman to reach London from Warsaw during the Second World War as an emissary of the Polish Home Army Command. She was secretly trained and then the only member of the SOE affiliated forces to be parachuted back into Nazi-occupied Poland. It does sound interesting. It does. The next book is By the Fire We Carry, The Generations-Long Fight for Justice on Native Land. A powerful work on reportage in American history, so it's about Native American people here, that braids the story of the forced removal of Native Americans onto treaty lands in the nation's earliest days and a small town murder in the 1990s that led to a Supreme Court ruling reaffirming native rights to that land more than a century later. Gives a little bit of Killers of the Flower Moon vibe, mixing Native American history with a murder or like a crime. It depends on how long it is. If it's succinct enough for me, perhaps. Let's see, 350 pages. Okay, yes. So that one is a possibility. My camera battery died, but we're back. So let's finish the list. The next book was Wild Thing, A Life of Paul Guanin by Sue Prideaux. I already feel like not interested in this one as much. Not super into biographies in general. It says an original and revealing portrait of a misunderstood French post-impressionist artist, and he's known for aesthetically daring Polynesian paintings. Okay, I have no idea who this person is. He is known to be a scandalous person with a scandalous reputation, and the author is arguing that largely it's undeserved. Yeah, I would say probably I'm not interested in this one. What the Wild Sea Can Be, The Future of the World's Ocean by Helen Scales. I love the cover. It is so pretty. The acclaimed marine biologist and author of The Brilliant Abyss examines the existential threats the world's ocean will face in the coming decades and offers cautious optimism for much of the abundant life within. You know? That sounds pretty good, actually. I like the idea of positivity and optimism, and sometimes I need that in my reading. This is a possibility. I would say it's a possibility. We have 4 to go. The next one is called The Peep Show, The Murders at 10 Rillington Place. Oh, I've heard of this one. This is the same... Is this the same person? Kate Summerscale. Oh yes, The Suspicions of Mr. Witcher, which I've heard of that book. London, 1953. Police discover the bodies of 3 young women hidden in the wall at 10 Rillington Place. Oh, that is creepy. On searching the building, they find another body beneath the floorboards. Oh no. Then an array of human bones in the garden. But they've already investigated a double murder there 3 years before that, and the killer was hanged, so that they get the wrong person. It's a riveting true story where Kate Summerscale mines the archives to uncover the lives of Christie's victims. Yes, I appreciate that. The tabloid friends see that their deaths inspired and the truth about what happened inside the house. My trepidation is how it treats the victims and how important they are to the story, and do we get a full knowledge of them. That's truly my biggest qualm with true crime. That does sound interesting, and that is definitely on my radar now. The next book is called Sister-in-Law, Fighting for Justice in a System Designed by Men by Harriet Wistrich. Oh, so it's by a lawyer. The lawyer has been at the forefront of some historic and groundbreaking legal victories, working with women who have survived male violence or abuse. She's worked to challenge police, CPS, and government departments and the prison and immigration detention system. Yeah, this does sound really good to me. I do love learning more about the justice system in general, and it sounds like it's a kind of optimistic book. This reminds me of Nobody's Victim, which is also by a lawyer, and it's a book that I really enjoyed that I read a few years back. The penultimate book is Tracker by Alexis Wright, a collective memoir of the charismatic Aboriginal leader, political thinker, and entrepreneur Tracker Tilmouth, who died in Darwin in 2015 at the age of 62. Oh, I've never heard of this person, similar to the painter guy from a couple books ago. He was taken from his family as a child and brought up in a mission in Croker Island. He worked tirelessly for Aboriginal self-determination, creating opportunities for land use and economic development in many roles, including Director of Central Land Council of the Northern Territory. Is this Australia? Yeah, Australia. That makes sense. A possibility. I definitely don't know enough about Australia in general, and Aboriginal people in Australia definitely. The last book is Private Revolutions: 4 Women Face China's New Social Order by Yuan Yang. This one does look good. A powerful snapshot of 4 young Chinese women attempting to assert control over the direction of their lives. It says it's the product of 7 years of intimate, in-depth reporting. I do love it when an author really like dives deep into people's lives, and it's really like an ethnography. I really love that. These women came of age toward capitalism in the 80s and 90s, and despite the country's enormous economic gains, the women were coming up against deeply entrenched barriers as they sought to achieve their own financial stability. Yeah, this one is also a possibility. So let's look at them all. Autocracy Inc., yes. Embers of the Hands, no. The Eagle and the Heart, no. 1,000 Threads, no. The Story of a Heart, yes. Raising Hair, maybe. Ootlin, maybe. Why Fish Don't Exist, I've already read and recommend that you read it as well. Agent So, no. By the Fire We Carry, maybe. Wild Thing, no. What the Wild Sea Can Be, maybe. The Peep Show, yes. Sister-in-Law, yes. Tracker, maybe, but probably not. And Private Revolutions, maybe, but leaning yes. Very interesting list. It's a good mix of different places in the world. It's a good mix of like history and memoir and like nature writing, and different kinds of history too. So I'm very curious who's going to win. Do you have any predictions on who's going to win? And have you read any of these books? And do you have any on your TBR from the long list? And I'll keep following this through and see what happens with it. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye!